Welcome to Parenting with a Splash of Jewcie. We're not parenting experts, just two intentional parents doing our best to raise kids that we don't want to escape from. We'll share what's working, what used to keep us stuck, and all the messy growth in between. I'm Jewell.
I'm Gracie, and this is your weekly Splash of Jewcie.
That's our camera up there. All right, so episode 1 of Parenting Talks, Parenting with a Splash of Jewcie. That's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Parenting with a Splash of Jewcie. I'm the Jew, she is C. Obviously, Jewell and Gracie, so we just mashed them up and created Jewcie. And it's funny because we've been together for
Almost 7 years.
Almost 7 years now. And years ago, we decided we were going to create this masterpiece. We had our first business idea as a couple, which was a board game. And when I say our first idea as a couple, I meant she had a really good idea and I failed to execute on the board game.
I don't even remember what the game was.
It was, going to be like some sort of Candyland, I guess, cash flow-esque kind of game where you are. Here, let me actually see if I can mute that. Basically roll the dice. Anyways, that's where Jewcie comes from. Jewell Gracie. And we're parents. If you couldn't tell, this is baby number 2, Miss Nia May. Both of our babies decided to fall asleep at the same time. Sunny at the table eating dinner, and Nia watching Sunny eat dinner. Apparently got kind of tired doing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget the camera's over there, not down here.
Looks like I'm taller than you.
It does. Her chair is bigger than mine. Anyways, why are we doing this?
Because we want to support other parents to navigate raising their kids in the most effective way and having the best relationships with their kids.
Yeah. I think a lot of it also comes down to, for one, the information we were exposed to, right? Which we'll obviously get into a lot of that. But 2, we both, when we became parents, we both started, I think, reflecting on our childhood. Some of the things that were great, some of the things that were not so great. And then decided that if we wanted our kids to do better than we did, that we had to do better for our kids. And that's where a lot of, I think our parenting psychology comes from. And then obviously, like I said, we'll get into more of the nitty gritty about where we learned about certain things and why we decided to take certain routes along the way. But that's all to get into it later on. I think right now, episode 1, I want to focus a little bit more on who we are, why you should listen to us, aside from the fact that we're just an amazing couple with amazing kids, and we look good doing it. But yeah, just a little bit about us. I think Gracie wanted me to go first, so I will gladly give her the pleasure of going first.
About us?
No, about you, and then I'll do me, and then we'll come together and who we are.
Well, I am Gracie. I am a mother to Sunny and Nia, and wife to Jewell, obviously. The way we got here, well, Jewell and I have been together for almost 7 years. I've always stuck by his side, been a ride or die chick, and so how long had we been together when I got pregnant with Sunny?
That was in 2020.
Almost 4 years, or 4 years.
No.
Well, he was born in 2022.
2021 is when you got pregnant. 2021, so that was
been together
2.5 years that we had been together.
So we got pregnant with Sunny. Big surprise there. I was only 20. We were not expecting that. We didn't even have plans. We didn't even live together yet. But the first we can cut this part out. I froze up. Jewell was like, well, we're going to have a baby. Like, we're doing it. Let's do it. He never faltered there. Right away was supportive 100%. And then along came Sunny. Originally, I was going to go back to work. I just worked like in an office as a file clerk.
Important stuff, people.
Yeah, we had no idea what to do. But then just somewhere along the way, Jewell was like, no, I want you to stay home. And I didn't want to go back. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll stay home, figure it out. And so I have. And it's been great. It has shown me a lot about myself, like just a lot about myself. And I've overcome a lot of things through motherhood. Then we got married, then a lot of details in there, and then we had Nia, and
yeah, that is the if there was a nutshell inside of a nutshell, that's it right there.
I'm trying to go kind of fast.
No, there's no need. We have plenty of time, and our viewers, all maybe 4 of them who might watch this thing through, they'll get to hear the whole story. So I'm gonna just sprinkle in my details in there because Grace obviously she summed it up pretty well for us just now. I want to kind of take a few steps backward.
Should I talk more about myself?
I think so people know who you are and why. Like,
okay.
At the root, yeah, why are we doing this? But like, who are we doing this?
Okay.
Like, who are we? Where do we come from? What? Because I just want to take a step. Like, when it comes to who you listen to, right? You want to listen to someone who has what you want, right? We have a very successful marriage. Through the easy days, through the hard days, through the boring days, through the days where you just feel like giving up. We're just there for each other, and it's never been a conversation where it's like, oh man, there's something better out there, right? That's not ever been a conversation in our marriage, which we'll even get into that at another point. But when it comes to who you listen to, also you need to listen to someone who's been where you are. And I want to kind of, for anybody who might want to listen to this and might want to take some bits and pieces of the way we've done things, might want to understand a little bit more about who we are and where they might be able to relate with us. Like okay. We both have had some pretty substantial life events that we omitted from the nutshell version you gave us. So
yes. Okay.
Feel free to talk as much about that as you want, and then we'll even have more episodes later on where we dive into some of those specific things. You don't have to.
Okay. So, reverse. I'm Gracie. I'm just kidding. I born in Bakersfield, California. To my mom and dad. I was middle child. I have two older siblings, but my oldest brother was like a lot older than me, so, and then a little brother. And I've always been very like sure of myself, I would say, like a little.
That's a good word for it.
I don't want to say, my siblings probably call me bossy, but I just like know what I want and I'm clear about it usually. And I don't give up easily. And so that's like my personality, kind of, I would say. And I've always so I had a little brother. I always loved like playing school with him and like taking care of him and stuff. So I've always like had that natural motherly nurturing instinct. So when I was like, I had like a pretty normal childhood, and then
they had a cabin, right? They had a house. They had barbecues. Her dad was a grill master. Her mom was a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, I had a fun childhood.
Like if you think white picket fence.
Very family oriented, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had both my parents and
very involved.
They were like best friends, so I had that relationship to look up to. and then, but they did drink a lot. So, and then I was like in middle school, my dad had a traumatic brain injury, which was like very traumatic for my family. It was totally freak accident out of the blue. None of us were prepared for it. It kind of broke my family for several years. Like, it was really hard for all of us. We all kind of, I think, felt very alone at that time. We were kind of separated. And then during that time, I got into an abusive relationship, and that really sucked. And that was like my lowest low. I definitely was very depressed. I mean, I'll just say it, like, I contemplated suicide at that time. So for anyone who has ever like really struggled or felt alone, like, I've been there. But I just couldn't do that, obviously. I eventually found the light. I didn't give up. The relationship ended eventually, and I got through it. I got over it. I came out a little bit fucked up, but then I was gonna say I came out a better person at the other side. But like, I did a lot of like inner work after that and realized, like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why did I deal with that? Like, I totally lost sight of my worth in that time.
Did you said your dad had the accident, but you didn't actually say he passed away.
Okay, yeah. And then, yeah, my dad did pass away.
A year or two after, correct?
Yeah, I was 15. It was like, yeah. So, yes, I've dealt with grief. I've dealt with being treated like shit, feeling like shit, being alone, not knowing what to do, having no guidance really, and still sort of figured it out to get where I'm at now. And then definitely figured it out once I got with Jewell. Once I met Jewell, definitely my life took a turn for the better, because we've always just figured things out together and worked together on our shit. And never given up. Yeah. And yeah,
I think that's a pretty good backstory to kind of fill people in. And like I said, that's like, there's a lot that you just unpacked there, and we'll definitely go into it. You know, the grief and the relationship and the family getting disrupted and all of that. But just for right now, just for us to go over who we are, I'm Jewell, the Jew. Not really, though.
So now about you.
Yeah.
It's funny because, when I made this, when we came up with the name on ChatGPT, it said, like, is this good, or do you want it to be more Jewish-centered? Like, it actually asked.
Yeah. Funny side note, I used to play a lot of video games, and I always tried to put my name as part of my gamer tag. And I got a lot of hateful comments. So for all you Jews out there, no, I'm just joking. I don't know what you've been through, and I'm not even going to get into all that. But
alright, we're going to have to cut that part out.
No, we're not. This is real. No, I've heard some hilariously nasty things, which I guess are not that funny, but I thought were funny at the time because I'm not Jewish. So it's like being racist, saying like a black racist comment to a white person. They might think it's funny because they're not black. Anyways, I'm Jewell. I'm not Jewish. Although my family, we did grow up. We went to a Baptist church. My dad was very church oriented. His family, very, very religious oriented. A lot of pastors, deacons, choir members, band members in the church, in the family. So church was a regular occurrence for us. But same situation. I was born here in Bakersfield, California, to my mom and my dad. They were married at the time. I had 3 older siblings. I had an older brother, another older brother, and then our sister, who is the oldest. And my 2 oldest siblings are half siblings. I didn't even know what a half sibling was until high school, probably. They were just my siblings. That was my brother. That was my sister, and because we just were very close growing up. Did everything together as a family. It was trips, it was dinner every night, it was yard work, it was we're going to go outside and practice golf, whatever it might be, we did it together as a family, and we spent a lot of time together. Some of the things about me, I used to, as a guy, right, some things that you guys might relate with, was very heavy into sports. My dad was a sports fanatic, basketball, track, grew up watching Kobe and Shaq and Usain Bolt breaking world records, right, Tiger on the PGA Tour. That was our, sports was all the time, and our dad had huge aspirations for us as athletes someday. And so, that was our childhood, was sports, and it was just constant practice. When you're not working, someone else is. When you're sitting on the couch, someone's out there working. Club teams, after hours, staying late, going early. Sports was everything. And so I had this identity growing up as an athlete, right? We talked about, Grace was reading a book, and it was like, who was the fastest boy in your elementary school? And it's like, me. I was the fastest kid at my elementary school. And if there's any haters out there who think otherwise, even though my hip sometimes gets a little wanky, I'll take you out to the street and we'll see. Except a couple of you guys. Some of you guys. Anyways. Anywho, so sports was a really big deal. I did decent in school. I was in the GATE program, and I took AP classes in high school. Growing up, I always had this aspiration of, I'm going to graduate high school early, I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to get a full ride track scholarship, D1, I'm going to the Olympics. That was my whole identity, and I thought about it day after day after day. That was my whole identity. And it was about my freshman year. I started noticing I had some pain in my legs, and outstanding marks, got to compete at the Valley for track. Track was my main sport. And then my sophomore year, it was the marks improved a little bit, but the pain improved a lot of bit. And then my junior year, it got to the point.
Didn't improve.
Oh, when I say improve, I should say increase. My pain increased a lot of it.
Yes.
And then, my junior year just got significantly worse, where freshman year, my marks were here. Sophomore year, they were a step higher. And then junior year, it was down here.
And what was also going on at this time?
Yeah, a couple other factors that might be relevant. I got into my first real relationship during that time, which is a thing of its own. And like I said, we'll get into later on. And then my parents separated during this time. So, like I said, we grew up very close, very tight-knit. I was 15 years old when my mom had the conversation with me and one of my brothers that she was going to be leaving my dad. And at the time, I guess I'm not even going to go into all that right now, but that was all going on at this time. I had to end up with this track getting a cast on my leg, and that shattered me. That was the breaking point for me during that period of my life, to the point where I didn't think I could even recover and continue with my athletic journey, and so I was kind of hopeless at that time. So, the long story long,
And we attracted each other.
I guess so, yeah. I didn't come out of it a better person. I did come out of it a little bit fucked up as well. I think is a good way to put it. I believe.
But now we are better.
Now we are better
Now
people.
We see what we've gone through, and it's
But it's been a process. It's been a process of day by day of stress and anxiety, panic attacks, depression episodes, and
when we were younger.
Before realizing that oh, hey, our life is in our control, and that's that's kind of been the point for us.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's kind of a summary of where I came from, some of the major things that are part of my upbringing that have greatly influenced my programs, right? Some of those underlying programs. Yeah, and so then
Our guest of honor.
Our guest of honor, yeah, we have Miss Nia Mae Hicks here with us. The blonde hair and the blue eyes. She's baby number 2. She was the more planned baby of the 2 babies that we have. She was the one that we said, let's have a baby before the baby was conceived. But about who we are, like I said, I just want to bring this point back around. When it comes to who you listen to, right, we resonate with people who have a similar circumstance to us. And so as an adult, I have done private tutoring, I have done door-to-door sales, I've done cold calling, I worked as a yard aide at a school, I worked in blue-collar warehouse.
Nothing.
What?
She's wiggling.
Oh, yeah. To now, I'm a car salesman currently. And so it's like I've been through all these different walks of life and experienced so many different things, met so many people, and come to the realization time and again that I want more for myself. I want more for myself. I want more for my family. I want more for my kids. I want more for my wife. And outside of that, I want more for my community. I want more for my country. I want more for my continent, right? I want more for the world. I do want more for the world. I want my kids to grow up in a better world than I did. And that's, where it all ties back around. And we'll even get into principles and all that later on as well. But I just want to keep in mind this point of creating a world that's best for all. Probably a topic you may have never heard of before. I know the first time someone mentioned it to me was like 3 years ago. I'm 24 years old, and I never considered the idea of a world that's best for all, for everyone living on it, for all the plants, animals, life on this planet, until I was 21 years old. And so that gives you a pretty good idea of the system that we live in, of the programs that are running inside of all of us. And so I think our goal here is kind of to see if we could to possibly influence some people to make some of the decisions that we've made along our own individual processes, our process as a family, and, continue to build that community of people who, hold within them like, yeah, you know what? It just might be possible to create a world that's best for all. And I would love to be a part of that. I would really like to be a part of that, play an active role in that. And, we've had to do a lot of, I hesitate to use the phrase soul searching, but I guess for lack of a better term right now, we've had to do a lot of soul searching, had to do a lot of fact finding, a lot of investigating for ourselves, before now we can really see clearly that outside of that, there's nothing else that really matters. At the end of the day, I could be an exceptional car salesman, sell more cars than anybody else in the country, in the world, put my name in a book somewhere, and that's not going to help my kids. That's not outside of financially, so feel free to add whatever you want to that mouthful.
I think that's great. I think that's a good explanation why we're doing this, and we just plan on sharing our experiences and how we got here, and any I guess tips or things that have helped us, things we've had to realize and
conversations we've had,
Yeah.
I do want to mention while we're sitting here, there's extremes to everything, right? There's just to use politics as an example, there's the far left and there's the far right. Extremists on both sides. You've heard the phrase. I would honestly consider us we are on a more extreme side of the spectrum of parenting. We take parenting very, very serious. We do not compromise our parenting for anything other than individual points that we still have to walk through. We have reactions. We're humans. We don't do everything perfect. And outside of that, there's nothing. We do not compromise our parenting style for anything. So we have a really effective 3-year-old. He is incredibly brave. He is incredibly kind. Incredibly smart as well. I see 3-year-olds, people bring their kids into the dealership all the time, huh?
He has a great vocabulary.
He has a great vocabulary, yeah, absolutely.
Great
I see kids.
Skills.
I was a tutor for 7 years, right? like I said, I did door-to-door sales where education software is what I was selling. So I worked with a lot of families, did a lot of in-home presentations, worked with a lot of kids. I work at a car dealership where people bring their kids in all the time, and it takes a while to buy a car, and you see what these kids are going through and being subjected to. I've seen a lot, and so when I look at that, and I hate to compare because it's not, at the end of the day, it's not my kid versus your kid. Like that's not going to get us where we need to be. I just noticed like, oh wow, like this 5-year-old can't really talk that well. Right? This 4-year-old can't focus for more than 4 seconds. Like this 6-year-old cannot operate without a tablet in their hand. Like I see these things outside of home, and then when I get home, it's completely different. It's completely different. Our son does not have a tablet. He doesn't need one. Right? And so there's, I'll get into all of that, like our parenting principles and, some of our fundamental belief systems when it comes to parenting. But I just want to make sure that point is very clear. Like we do not compromise on our parenting. We are very, very aggressive with our parenting style. But the ultimate goal is it's not for our kid to grow up in this fantasy world where they have a lot of fun and do some really cool things. That's all great, right? We take our son on all of our trips with us. He goes on every trip. He's been to Miami with us. He's been to Yellowstone National Park with us. He's been to, where else? Texas with us. He's been to San Diego with us, which is a 4-hour drive. Oakland, Monterey. We have Monterey. Yeah. So we've taken him. We do a lot of fun things with him. We give him a lot of really cool experiences, but everything we do is centered around this idea of creating a really highly effective adult. A highly effective adult, because at the end of the day, if your childhood is awesome and you don't know how to function as an adult, it was a wasted childhood, and now you have to start and a lot of us are starting from that point. A lot of people are starting to wake up to the reality of the world we live in, and they see, I want more, but I'm going to have to start from step one.
That was a really good point right there. That's all.
Yeah, from step one and go and get it. And it's like, if we as parents, right, it's our job. We're the first wave. We're the ones who have to create the change for ourselves. We live that change, we model it, and we teach it to our children. When they're our age, they're going to be light years ahead of us. I think one of the most common things that everybody likes, one of the games everybody likes to play is, if you could take everything that you know now and go back 10 years, what would you do different? Right? All of us, everybody's like, oh my gosh, if I knew what I knew now, I'd be a millionaire already. Perfect. Now you have the opportunity to teach that to your kids, to model that to your kids, to create a really effective adult so that when your kid's your age, they can be at that millionaire status already and really be in a position to influence and to support a lot of other people, like I said, to take on this common goal of, just breaking the system that we've lived in, changing the programs that have just been running unconsciously generation after generation after generation. And so that I think is kind of what sums up what we're here doing with this podcast, some of the things we'll be talking about, and a little bit more about who we are. Promise you the editing, I don't know what this is going to sound like as right here. Right, I've got my computer right here. That's what I keep looking down at to see what the camera looks like, and I've got it on a laundry basket so that the microphone is good enough. So the quality's only going to get better, the audio's going to get better. If that's what you've got a problem with, I promise, just hang on. We're getting there. And yeah, that's what we're here to do, and we're here to make a juicy splash.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's
Jewell on Purpose.
It's Jewell on Purpose. I just changed it today, so I don't remember the name, but my Instagram handle, Jewell on Purpose. That's JEWELL on Purpose, because we're doing this not by accident, if you catch my drift. You can find Gracie, a lovely lady. No scandalous pics, so I'm sorry if that's what you're looking for. You can find her at
Raising with Grace.
Raising with Grace, which is kind of like Raising Cane's if you think about it, but not exactly. Raising with Grace. Just better, mo better. This guy, if you watch this, you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah, follow us on Instagram. We'll be posting updates, some of our parenting tips and tricks, some of the things we're doing to keep our children actively engaged and learning, and to continue building the trust and the support and the relationship foundation between us and our marriage and with our children. So stay tuned. This is only episode 1. It's only gonna get better from here. But yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Good job. That was